cosine theta. It's the same thing. Now, why this throws us off is because they're not both like fingers, because we simplify tangents values, and when we do so, the two square roots disappear. There's no longer two square roots, there's only one when we rationalize the denominator. So some things that you need to know that will help you out is that the value 3 is the same thing as square root of 3 times the square root of 3. Now, why do I point that out? If I change this to saying that's my denominator, this is my numerator, then I have y over x, there's my y, there's my x. Well, let's do some math here. If I scratch that out, I'm left with 3 in the bottom. If there's nothing in the numerator, remember we don't put a 0, we would put a 1. And again, 1 is equal to the square root of 1. So now I'm able to find my tangent. Tangent inverse means flip the hand, so I'm looking at the back of my hand. I have one finger on top, then the bend, and I should have 3 below. If you're doing this with me, you realize you've bent your ring finger, which means you have your pinky up top, that's the 1, and you have 3 below. That's the spot. We flip it over. What finger is our ring finger? It's the pi over 6 finger, also known as 30 degrees. That should be our answer since it's positive. The first quadrant is the first occurring, and yep, it is. So we get that pi over 6, also known as 30 degrees, is our answer. So again, the key with tangent is to be ready to change a whole number to just two square roots. Let's check another one. All right, now we have 1, which basically is the same thing. Again, arctan, you do this first, is tangent inverse. What that 1 means is that y over x is the same value. So we could look as 1 as being 1 divided by 1, but that won't get us anywhere because if you do square roots, why this is still problematic. If you're looking at the back of your hand, it's saying 1 finger bend and you should have 1 below. Well, if you go 1 finger bend from the top, again, you should have 1 and 3. So it doesn't add up. So what gives here? Well, what gives is what's canceling each other is not the 2 square roots of 1. What it is since we have 5 fingers, one of them's bent, that leaves 4 fingers. If you have 2 up top and 2 below, now they would cancel out. So that's how you get the 1 is the same amount of fingers up top as below. So if you're looking at the back of your hand, that means you're bending your middle finger, which leaves you 2 up top, 2 down below. Flip your hand over. What spot is that in your middle finger? Well, it's your pi over 4 finger. So the answer here is pi over 4, also known as our 45-degree finger. That is where sine and cosine are equal to one another. It's positive, so it's still the first quadrant. That's the first occurring. So that would be our answer. Now, some people might be thinking, I know that tangent's also positive in the third quadrant. Could I give my answer over here? Yes, you could. The truth is, this is the plus 1, so at 5 pi over 4, over here at 5, I'm sorry, that's not my pen. Let me undo that real quick, take those away. My 5 pi over 4 location would give us the same values. They would both be negative, and when they are negative, they'd cancel each other out and give us a positive tangent. But we always go with the quickest occurring. So starting from the x-axis, that is the quickest occurring value where tangent is 1. Now, here's one for you to try. And again, it's not a fraction. So you'd have to think through, well, if I wanted to make it a fraction, I would put 1, and that's the same thing as square root of 1. This works because you have 4 fingers plus the 1 bend. So this ought to work for you. See if you can come up with your answer.